Let's move then on to our team selection and see how Liverpool should be looking to line up in Hungary as they look to try and take a first leg lead in the Champions League round of last 16. Full faith in Alisson, or does Caoimhín Kelleher come in, Gorsty?
No. He hasn't put a foot wrong, to be fair, Kelleher, but still managed to. Alisson's got plenty of goodwill on the bank still. But he needs to cut out the glare and unavoidable errors.
Yeah, it certainly does. What about the defence, Sean? Are you with Gorsty in terms of if Fabinho's fit, that could be a crucial part of this game?
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it, to throw him straight back into a game of this magnitude. I'd almost be tempted, as much as I think midfield repair is pretty much the most urgent thing that Liverpool need to do at this stage of the season. I'd be tempted to go with Kabak and Henderson just because. Not that it was all went swimmingly against Leicester, but it's a partnership that's at least had a 90 and has at least got the basis of something to work on. And again, they both made errors in the game, and there was the whole thing of Kabak and Alisson. But I think there's something there. There's something to build on, and perhaps then if Fabinho is fit, he can go into midfield. So yeah, that's the way I'd do it: Kabak and Henderson.
Do you feel then it's more sort of a need to get Fabinho back into the midfield as opposed to Henderson longer term, or just in terms of that fitness issue?
It's a really difficult one. I think Henderson immediately would make a really big difference and would help repair that triangle with Trent and Salah. Obviously, as we've said, Salah's having a fantastic season. I think Trent's had a few issues, and it's one area where sometimes Liverpool just look a little bit different and a little bit more exposed so far this season. Fabinho, I think, especially in Europe, you'd absolutely love to see Liverpool's best number 6 in his natural position. But it's very difficult with him, isn't it? I mean, as much as I'm saying I'd like to see him in midfield for this one, when would be the last time that he's trained as a midfielder? It's probably months ago, isn't it, given what he's been doing? But yeah, it does feel like for a crunch European away tie, even though it's not a proper one, having him there would be a real boost. But yeah, all depends on his fitness.
Yeah, definitely. Ghosty, what do you reckon on the defence?
Yeah, I agree with Sean to an extent. I think off the top of my head, last time Fabinho played as a midfielder was the derby at Goodison Park on the 17th of October. So what's that, coming up to 4 months? So yeah, it's a difficult one. I think as long as Fabinho's fit now, I think he has to be considered a centre-back. Liverpool don't have too many other options, do they? Which is a shame, because I think as a 6, he's one of the obviously one of the best around, and I think the sooner Liverpool can get Virgil van Dijk fit, the better. It's had such a. I mean, obviously losing Gomez and Matip has been in and out. None of those injuries have helped Liverpool, but losing Van Dijk has just absolutely set Liverpool back, incredibly, hasn't it? And sooner he's back, the better. He's back in the UK. He's back on Merseyside. He's spent much of the last 2 months in Dubai, but he's now back on Merseyside, back training at the AXA Centre, which, however way you want to look at that, is probably good news, isn't it? Jurgen Klopp said a couple of weeks ago that his progress was really promising, and then he kind of hinted that he might not play again. Was it the week before last? So I think he might have just said that in a way to buy himself some time and avoid questions every week about it going forward. So hopefully there is space for him at the end of the season, even if it's just for a handful of games, just to get him back in the fold, and then he can have a real good pre-season and go from there. But yeah, as long as Fabinho's fit, I would be playing him as a centre-back.
Right, stay with you, Ghosty, then for the midfield, but how would you be lining that up?
Are we at the point now where it's just whoever's fit? I think, what is it, 4 into 3?
Been there 2 months, haven't we?
Yeah, it's true, yeah. It's either Oxlade-Chamberlain or Jones, isn't it? Surely you do the 2, Wijnaldum and Thiago. I'd go with Jones over Oxlade-Chamberlain.
You agree with that, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one picks itself, really. Yeah, they're the 3. And as I said earlier, I think rhythm has been disrupted a little bit by maybe it's an easy thing to say in hindsight, but in second half, the midfield has been changed, and then things have all gone wrong. So I'd go with that midfield, and if the situation allows for it, I'd try and stick with that midfield for as long as the game is possible.
Yeah, certainly. What about the front line then, Gorsty? The fabled front three, the front three?
Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, again, it's one of those where 4 into 3 because there's no Origi, Minamino's at Southampton, so it's got to be the front three, and Shaqiri is an impact sub. Hopefully not, maybe just to run down the clock. Front three is the front three.
I was going to say, Diogo Jota is still 2 or 3 weeks away, unless he sort of has a wrestling style, rips the training top off, comes out for the warm up, and we're all whoa. But yeah, Sean, I suppose it is the front three. Has to be the front three.
Got to be. I don't think you can make a case for anyone else really. And maybe Mane aside, he's looked quite threatening almost up until the last part of moves recently. But the other two, I think they've got real good moments and games to draw on recently, and they've been in decent form. So yeah, you've got to trust the usual suspects to get it done.
And hopefully, touch wood, no injuries before the derby, because that is going to be an absolutely huge tie at Anfield to come next weekend. Well, that's it for Monday's edition here of the Blood Red podcast. Thanks for joining us. Myself, Guy Clark, Paul Gorst and Sean Bradbury. Remember to leave us a rating and review wherever it is you get your audio on demand, and stick with us here on Blood Red dedicated YouTube channel, and make sure you share as much of our content across as many channels as you possibly can. But as I say, from myself, Guy Clark, Sean Bradbury and Paul Gorst, thanks for your time and your company. It's bye for now.